This video is going to help you if you feel like your social battery keeps draining after certain periods of time. So for example, after 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 hours of interaction, of social engagement, you just feel tired, you feel like you want to get out of there, you feel like you want to go ahead and lock yourself up in a room and just be sat there by yourself. Because this has been the situation for me for some time, and I believe I found out the answers finally. So this video is gonna help you only if you're an introvert, because if you're an extrovert, you probably deal with this automatically and you don't really need advice on it. If you don't know if you're an introvert or an extrovert, I'm gonna link the MBTI test in the description. So this is essentially a personality test, and it gives you more data than just being an introvert or an extrovert, but it's important to know yourself anyway. So for me, it was like I'm 60% introvert and 40% extrovert, I believe, from the test. Back in school, I used to be surrounded by people all the time, so I would spend time around people for 6 to 7 hours because that's just the school environment. And afterwards, I would go out with my friends as well, so that would be an extra 2 to 5 hours, it depends. And I felt no problems around these, because I believe I was kind of numb to the sensation in a way, to my social battery draining. I probably had a mechanism, a system to make it work, but it was not a conscious choice, it just happened automatically. But after that, the pandemic came, and after the pandemic, I returned to university, and that's where it hit me. Because after 2 years of essentially living in solitary confinement, I had to go back into social circles. I had to go back and engage in social situations again. And after 3 hours of social interactions, probably, I would just feel tired, very tired. I would just want to go ahead and be sat there by myself, lock myself up in a room, and just be alone, me with my own thoughts, and no one else around me. And this became a problem in my life, of course, because social situations came in which I had to be there for more than 3 hours or whichever my threshold was, and I would just be AFK after 3 hours. So think about this for a moment. Think about your family. You can spend hours, tens of hours around your family, and you will not have this sensation. So why is that really? And you probably have close friends like this as well. Why does your social battery not drain out after 10 hours with those people? Well, it's because they are familiar to you. It's because you are used to being around them. And what does that lead to? It leads to the idea that they already have a perception of you, and you don't have to make a good impression on them. And then even deeper, they are accepting you already. They've been accepting you for a long time because they've been around you for a long time. They've been knowing you for a long time, and they know the not necessarily 100% authentic version of you, but the more authentic version of you than you usually allow people to see. So this is the reason, because when you are around strangers, when you're around people that you don't know that well, that are not that close to you, you probably put up a lot of masks, and you're probably wondering all the time, am I giving the right impression? Am I being accepted? Am I putting the right mask on for the situation, for the current situation? And that's why your social battery is draining, because it's an effort. And of course, when you're going through effort, you get tired. That's a natural law. And that's how it is in sports, that's how it is when you're learning or when you are creating something. After a while, you get tired. But if you would just be able to be authentically you out there, it would take you much, much longer to get tired. So really think about it. Think about maybe your friends that don't really seem to feel this, that are able to be out there in social situations for 10 hours with strangers and they're perfectly fine. Well, it's because they don't make an effort. It's because they don't perceive it as an effort. They are just casually being out there, and they're not afraid of other people's opinions on them. But you probably are afraid of other people's opinions and judgments. because they might not accept you, and then maybe trauma from the past might be triggered, and you feel like everyone is rejecting you. You feel like you are completely worthless to everyone, right? But that's obviously not the case. That's just a misjudgment by your lizard brain, probably. So take some time to acknowledge that this is the reason, reflect on it for a while, and then just try and acknowledge it in the moment when you are in a social situation and like you start feeling like it's tough to be in that situation. Now, of course, it's gonna be tougher anyway around some people, and it's gonna be easier around other people. But it's just good to be aware of this, that you might be wearing too many masks at that moment. And that it might be the good time for you to take some masks off and to just take the risk to be yourself authentically. Because what's the worst thing that could happen? And you will see that it's a very freeing experience.